What wins a World Cup? Genius or geometry? Magic or control? Today we settle one of the most uncomfortable debates in football history, the 2002 Brazil team versus the 2010 Spain team. Individual brilliance against positional perfection, chaos versus control. And by the end of this, one of these legendary sides might not look as untouchable as nostalgia makes it seem. Because this debate isn't about highlights. It's about dominance, it's about identity, it's about which philosophy truly defines greatness on the biggest stage in football. Let's start with Brazil national football team at the 2002 FIFA World Cup. Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho. Three names that still feel mythical. Brazil didn't try to suffocate opponents with endless passing sequences. They didn't obsess over territorial control. They waited, they absorbed. And when the moment appeared, they struck with surgical brutality. Ronaldo scored 8 goals, 2 in the final. It was vertical football. Explosive transitions. Individual genius deciding games in seconds. But here's the uncomfortable question. Was that dominance or was it efficiency? Brazil conceded goals. They didn't control tempo the way modern teams do. They were devastating, yes, but they relied heavily on moments of brilliance rather than systemic suffocation. They won every match, which sounds absolute, but stylistically they were closer to controlled chaos than tactical perfection. Now look at Spain national football team at the 2010 FIFA World Cup. This wasn't chaos. This was calculated suffocation. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, midfielders who treated the ball like property. Spain didn't destroy you quickly. They drained you slowly. Possession wasn't aesthetic, it was strategic control. Opponents chased shadows. Spain often won by just one goal, which critics love to mention, but that's the point, that they rarely needed more. They conceded only 2 goals in the entire tournament. They dictated rhythm. They reduced variance. They turned football into positional geometry. It wasn't always entertaining. It wasn't always explosive. But it was structurally dominant in a way few World Cup winners ever have been. So what's more impressive? Brazil's ability to decide games in moments, or Spain's ability to prevent moments from even existing? Brazil had the aura. Spain had the mechanism. Brazil gave you iconic highlights. Spain gave you territorial suffocation. One relied on generational attackers capable of improvisation under pressure. The other relied on a synchronized collective where space itself was engineered. Brazil could be unpredictable, sometimes even vulnerable. Spain was predictable but almost impossible to disrupt. There's also context. The 2002 World Cup was more transitional tactically. Defensive lines weren't as compact as a decade later. Space existed. Transitional attacks were more common. Brazil's style thrived in that environment. By 2010, football had evolved. Pressing systems were sharper. Defensive structures tighter. Spain didn't just win, they influenced how modern elite football would be played. Their positional play became a blueprint adopted across Europe. Brazil represented the last great global triumph of pure attacking individualism. Spain represented the rise of collective control as the dominant ideology. Now let's provoke both sides. If you support 2002 Brazil, you'll argue football is about decisive impact, about who changes games, about who delivers when it matters. Brazil scored 18 goals in the tournament. They were feared. They were emotionally overwhelming. If you support 2010 Spain, you'll argue that real dominance is minimizing chaos. Spain didn't need 5 goals. They needed control. They didn't rely on one superstar scoring 8. They relied on systemic superiority. And here's the twist, Brazil's magic is easier to romanticize. Spain's control is easier to respect analytically. One wins the heart. The other wins the tactical debate. Brazil's front 3 could dismantle you in seconds. Spain's midfield could make you irrelevant for 90 minutes. One side thrived on expression. The other thrived on structure. So which is greater, the team that dazzled the world with individual brilliance, or the team that redefined how elite football controls space and tempo? If football is art, 2002 Brazil wins. If football is science, 2010 Spain wins. But trophies don't care about aesthetics. Both lifted the World Cup. Both defined eras. The real debate isn't who won more beautifully, it's which philosophy stands stronger against time. Explosive genius, or positional perfection. Now it's your turn. Does football belong to the artists or the architects? To Ronaldo's acceleration or to Xavi's metronomic control? Because in this rivalry, you can't sit in the middle, and whichever side you choose says more about how you see football than about the teams themselves.